Did you know that your body burns calories while digesting, completely automatically? Today I'll explain to you what thermic effect of food is. That's what it's called, and how you can use this effect to your advantage. Before we dive into the thermic effect, let's quickly take a look at where our body actually gets its energy from. There are three main groups of nutrients, which are also called macromolecules. The first are fats. They provide the most calories per gram, namely 9, and are the most effective energy storage. Then come the carbohydrates. They provide 4 calories per gram and are the quick energy, especially for the brain and for the muscles. Then comes the protein, also 4 calories per gram, but actually intended as a building material for tissues, for enzymes, for hormones, and for the muscles, not as the main source of energy. That's already quite interesting to keep in mind. And it's exactly with these nutrients that the amount of energy the body needs for digestion differs. Now again, what does this thermic effect of food actually mean? So that's the abbreviation for this thermic effect of food. This effect describes the energy that the body uses just to break down, absorb, and convert food. You could also say that a part of the calories is lost directly during digestion. On average, that makes up about 10% of your daily calorie expenditure. But depending on the nutrient, it can be significantly more or less. Well, now let's ask ourselves, why does fat cost the least? Fat is actually the easiest for the body to process. It is broken down into fatty acids relatively easily and stored directly, and that's why this thermic effect of food for fat is only about 0 to 3%. So we hardly use any energy for that. But from an evolutionary perspective, that was vital for survival. Fat was the perfect emergency reserve, stored with little effort and lasting a long time. Now let's talk about carbohydrates. They make a difference, especially between sugar and whole grain products. For carbohydrates, this thermic effect of food is a bit higher, between 5 and 10%. But as I said, there are big differences here. Sugar and white flour products are very easy to digest. The body hardly needs to work, so the effect here is more like 5%. Whole grains, legumes, and vegetables are more complex. They contain fiber and need to be broken down more thoroughly, so they also release energy more slowly. And here the thermic effect of food increases to up to 10%. And that's also the reason why whole grain products keep you full much longer and also help maintain more stable blood sugar levels than sweets or white flour products like white bread and so on. Now let's take a closer look at protein. Protein is actually the most expensive nutrient. Now it gets really interesting because the thermic effect is between 20 and 30%. That means out of 100% of the calories from protein, 20 to 30% are immediately used for processing. And why is that the case now? Proteins are made up of long chains of amino acids that have to be broken down with a lot of effort, and any excess can't really be stored. The liver has to convert or break them down, and in the process, for example, nitrogen is produced, which has to be excreted by the kidneys as urea. And all of that takes a lot of energy, which is why the body burns significantly more when it comes to protein. And protein? Is there a difference between animal and plant-based protein? And I think that's a really interesting question. And yes, there is a difference. Animal protein is actually a bit easier for the body to access because it is more similar to the body's own structures than plant-based structures. And that's why the thermic effect of food for animal products is usually at the lower end, around 20%, Plant-based protein is often surrounded by fiber and accompanying substances that require more digestive effort. And that's why the thermic effect of food here is more at the upper end, so close to 30%. And that means that anyone who relies on protein when losing weight benefits especially from plant-based protein sources, because the body puts more energy into digestion, and at the same time, the microbiome and cardiovascular health can benefit from it. From an evolutionary perspective, I still want to ask the question, why shouldn't we consume too much protein? When we look at evolution, it becomes clear that our bodies were never designed to eat huge amounts of protein every day. Meat was only available occasionally, and legumes or seasonal dairy products weren't available at all. And mainly, fats and carbohydrates were available as sources of energy. They are efficient, lightweight, storable, and thus ensure survival. Protein, on the other hand, was always intended as a building material for repair, for healing, and for growth. And that's why an excess of protein is actually a burden for the body. Breaking it down puts a strain on the liver and kidneys without providing any real additional benefit. And now, of course, you're wondering, oh my goodness, how much protein actually makes sense for healthy adults? You can keep it really simple. 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight is completely sufficient. For people over 65, it's recommended to go a bit higher, between 1.2 to 1.45 or even 1.5 grams to prevent muscle loss. And that's actually really important. For strength athletes or people who specifically want to build muscle mass, the amount can then be increased to 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. But more doesn't benefit most people. On the contrary, it puts a strain on the metabolism. Then you might ask yourself, why are so many high-protein diets trending right now? It's clear that protein is strongly promoted in many diets today, and it's obvious why. Because of this high thermic effect, the body automatically burns a lot more calories, which makes losing weight easier. And that works, and that's exactly why these diets are actually successful in the short term. But it's definitely not the healthiest way to lose weight, because our bodies aren't made to handle extremely high amounts of protein in the long run. It's much healthier to eat protein in the right amounts, preferably plant-based, and to keep the foundation of your diet based on fresh, fiber-rich foods. If I may briefly summarize it again, just to make it really clear for you, the thermic effect of food shows us that not all calories are the same. Fat is stored almost effortlessly. Carbohydrates already require a bit more energy, especially when they are whole. However, protein has the highest effect and uses the most energy, but in the long run, it is not the optimal energy source. So, the right balance makes the difference. Enough protein for muscles and tissues, preferably plant-based, and complex carbohydrates and healthy fats for stable energy. And that's how you can use this thermic effect of food specifically without leaving it up to your body. I find this topic so incredibly fascinating, and I really want everyone to know about it, so please share this video. And I know that everyone who gets it will be grateful to you for it.